Okay, guys, so we're just going to jump right into it. People can come on and then pick up on the information as we go. But I know everybody's time's valuable right now. A few things going into Q4, right? We got less than 120 days left before 2024. With continually rising interest rates and continually low inventory, I just want to really make sure this team, our team, I'm going to share a new screen real quick before we get into it. And then if everybody can mute, is I wanted to share, sorry, I got to get this open. If you prepare for what potentially could happen in the market, you're always going to be good, right? But if we're not really prepared and we're not utilizing all the tools that we have available right now, it could make it a little bit of a bumpy ride for the next 6 months. And I want to try to avoid just people not having expectations that could potentially come up. So I'm just going to share another screen real quick. I'm just going to share another screen before I get back into that. So share screen. Bam. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you is what's going on right now. So I got this email. If anybody follows him, Ricky Caruth, super nice guy. We've done a lot of masterminds and events together. Oh, you know what, guys? I'm sorry. I'm going to share my other screen so everybody here can see it. Because I just noticed y'all can't see it. Okay, so this was a email I got this morning, and you can already see the effects of it now. This is just a cool email format I wanted to send you guys, or I wanted to show you, is that all new listings in the major markets for Metro Redfin are going like this. So year over year, now they're going down 9% compared to having it 27% less than just a year ago, okay? And then if you go down, more good news. The trend that we see now is most likely going to continue to go lower over the next 6 to 12 months, okay? So if you think it's difficult now, we really haven't seen anything yet. You're going to get much worse, okay? If the Fed continues to raise interest rates, affordability, median home prices, everything is going to get worse in terms of its metrics, okay? So that's the bad news, okay? The good news is we can prepare for all of this, okay? People are still going to need to buy and sell and transact. So I really wanted to go over today a presentation that would make sense, because talking about like, you know, how many good things on the market are, or like the things that you could do intellectually aren't really going to help you in the market we're about to go into if you guys don't think that we're already there now. So specifically, when we're talking about scripting and we're talking about AI, AI is a super important tool. You guys should all be using it, but use it like any other tool that you have, like MLS or IDX, right? Knowing that you're saying, okay, if you have a bunch of sticky notes or maybe printed out pieces of paper, right, which I'm guilty of as well, I do it, I highlight it, it's time to maybe embrace a little bit more automation and get you into the thing where you can start really using technology to make it faster for you, okay? Because no script, no email that I've ever seen has led to an actual closing or conversion. It's only led to an opportunity for a conversation and a relationship builder. That's it, okay? So you guys, no matter what people say about AI right now in real estate, they need you. Like without you, nothing else happens, right? That's the bottom line, okay? There's conversation after conversation that we'll go over, but what you want to do is, there is a complete misnomer about people in real estate and as he's used to AI right now, is that it's actually the most complex thing to keep it simple, okay? So I talk to a lot of people like us throughout the industry, okay? I don't care if they have bigger accounts, smaller accounts. I don't care if they're really small teams and they're super profitable, or they're really big teams and they're just working on volume, okay? A lot of people like it to be complex. For some reason, growth leads to complexity, and I think that's a trap for a lot of people. So having the opportunity to go over, oh, do you have a script for this? Oh, do you have a script for that? You have a script for this? I'm having a lot of one-on-one conversations, but I want to have a communicative or a total conversation with you guys on why I do what I do. Why is it that I'm running it the way that I'm doing it and putting resources in advertising or marketing or infrastructure of people? Is because I want to be like Amazon. I want to be like Google. I want to be like Apple. I want to be like Tesla. When you get into a Tesla, it's one screen. There's like a half a steering wheel, right? They're like probably going to get rid of the steering wheel because it can drive itself, right? It's like so simple. For me, it's almost too simple, right? The iPhone, the single reason I've kept the iPhone for the last 10 years or whenever it came out was because of how easy it is to use. Yes, it's the most powerful thing that we probably touch on a daily basis. Same thing with Google. It's because it's the easiest way to get what you need to get done. So by going in and saying, okay, specifically to a script, by structuring the script that's going to work for you, what I've learned over my career is that people get in the business, they learn all kinds of scripts, they learn, what's common objections, how do I operate or navigate in a market of high interest rates and low inventory as opposed to high inventory and low interest rates, or low inventory and low interest rates. They're all different objections, right? Agree? So now you got to get all new scripts, right? Versus for me, I go, oh yeah, by the way, we're still doing with low inventory, same script, but now I'm doing with a higher interest rate. So quite honestly, right now, if I don't know anything about real estate, and I go, okay, well, there's a little bit of higher interest rates, but there's lower inventory. Man, what happens if interest rates drop? Like, let's just talk about it for a minute. What if they drop? What's going to happen? Still low inventory. Does anybody think inventory is going to skyrocket in the near future? Like not with the graphs I just showed you, right? So for the foreseeable 6 to 12 months, we're going to have low inventory. The better you are at it, the better your pipeline is going to react and the better your clients are going to react. So now that we know that inventory is going to stay low, as an example, interest rates drop, what happens? Does their payment drop? Why not? Why doesn't their payment drop? The prices are going to increase, right? So like, do I need a script necessarily to go like, hey, what's the difference when we're going to have, I just have to make sure that you know that we're going to keep a low inventory. Southern California real estate market is going to be historically low over the next 12 months, right? Because people have 3 to 4% interest rates, and they can't do anything. Good for them. They're building equity. But great for them if rates go down, am I right? Because now they're going to go up another $100,000 on their value, right? And then your client's going to be able to borrow more money, right? Because low interest rates mean banks are going to start lending again, right? So you're going to go, oh man, you need to buy that house. I'm going to lend you that extra 100K. So now you factor that into what you're paying. Guess who the guy who bought at 75K less with a higher interest rate, guess what that family can do now? Guess what that savvy buyer can do now that did it when no one else wanted to? The biggest thing they can do to lower their payment when interest rates drop. Refi. Boom, rate and term refi. Now they got the same 5% that you just bought, but now they save 75% less on their house, right? So simple, right? Almost too simple, right? So how many of those conversations could you have throughout the day when you're talking about prospective clients? Probably quite a bit. And any reasonable person would go, wow, that actually really makes sense that if the rates drop, I'm going to pay a premium in any market with low inventory, right? So these are the things I want to go after with you guys today. Not that scripts aren't great. I love objection scripts. I love talking about them. We can role play all the time, right? But now the next part about all that stuff is what I've learned in 20 years is don't do it the way I do it. Do it the way you do it, right? I've learned, can I tell you guys a quick story that's really nothing related to this other than the fact that it's about your own path? I'm going to tell you real quick, probably take 2 minutes. Okay, so the United States spent billions of dollars and hundreds of people's manpower in torture techniques, okay? And this all happened from 9/11. And so anybody in the military, anybody that knows, like they basically studied the effects of torture and whether they could get more information from you or if they actually rewarded you and treated you better and gave you more reasonings to do things yourself, which one was more powerful. So after I think it was like 5 years, and by the way, I mean, this is in the last, like 10, 20 years, and the United States is hundreds of years old, right? And they just figured this out. And what they figured out is if they tried to make people do it their way with like brutal tactics and techniques, all they do is make it worse. You harden the next generation. You create tons of like generational resentment, right? It just doesn't work. On the other hand, if you're like, hey, you have a different value or opinion or perspective, and I want to learn why you have that value or opinion or perspective, but I want to let you know why we differ. And then we're going to go in a certain situation, and let's just say in this situation, you broke the law, right? Then there's going to be penalties for people that break the law. But if they're truly trying to get more information out of them, what they figured out was if they rewarded that person, they got way more information. Because the other techniques just gave them false information. They made it up. They were tired of getting tortured. They were tired of feeling pain. So what this comes down to is call parties every morning, get you guys in here at 8 a.m. I am, but you guys are probably working by that time too. Just maybe not behind a call center and your desk and your phone, right? But you guys are still working, right? Right? And even if you're in the middle of something, you're probably going to get back to working and you're going to make up that time or figure out what it is because this is real estate, right? We're not in this for the 9 to 5. We're in this for whatever our clients need us to be in for, right? So now knowing that, I want to say, hey, look, how can Active Realty, how can our team, how can our leadership, how can our support network create free thinkers that know why the hell you're doing what you're doing? And then not only that, but are aligning with you at every point possible to create better results. Because we already know our work's cut out for us. This market isn't going to be a fun market. However, for me, I kind of like it. I'll tell you why. The last 3 years when, anybody could throw a sign in the ground and anybody could sell a house within 3 days, did you have to do anything at all of value? Not really. Put the sign in the ground or get someone to do it and then move paperwork, right? And then maybe you negotiated and maybe you didn't because there was multiple offers in one house, right? Now that's not the case anymore. What you guys are actually doing these days is incredibly valuable to your clients and yourselves. So your job now matters. There's more people that are going to be in your job that are going to embrace their structure, right? So in talking about structure, which is everybody's like, oh, what's the magic sauce, or is it what I eat, or how long I sleep, or maybe I don't sleep at all, right? Like, let's try that, right? That probably won't work, right? So I just wanted to go over the structure, whatever it is that you do choose, okay? Will lead to clarity and focus, because when you have structure, it's not about you. It's not about me, right? There's like a really cool problem-solving technique. If, let's say we're pissed off because I didn't get a phone call. Vanessa called me. She's like, motherfucker, you didn't call him back, right? Bleep that out. And all of a sudden I go, hey, here's my phone. I didn't see a call. And she goes, okay, well, you need to, fix your phone, right? So as an example, if I'm transparent and I say, oh my God, dude, such a priority. If you would have texted me, I would have known, but I didn't even get the phone call, right? See how if I if I go in and I create a structure and I say hey, oh man, what's the solution? I didn't get it. Well, it's not because I didn't get it. What if I got it and then her call was missed? And I go, oh man, it was right when I started my meeting and I didn't call you back. My bad, right? I'll be sure to call you back next time, right? Now there's a little bit of responsibility, right? But now we're going to go back and we're going to create more clarity because it's not about a right or wrong. So a lot of times when the market's not going right with your clients, that structure is going to mean let's say you tried them 8 or 9 times and you emailed them a lot of information, right? Bijan, tell me what you did. What was the one that you called yesterday? It was an ISA up call.
Yeah. I called her back and said, hey, you reached out, and she was like, no, you reached out to me. And she's like, if I can big house, 3,600 square feet in Riverside. There's a comp down the street at like 975, and like on Zillow says it's worth $1,036,000. So did the math, told her what our fee is, what we do to sell it, and I said, hey, if we could offer it $1,050,000, you're gonna walk out with $1 million, and then you can downsize. They want to stay local, so that could potentially turn into 2 transactions.
Yep.
So get her set up, show her other options.
And then what did she tell you? What she did with the other agents' numbers? Because she's been in our system for a minute.
And so then she's like, you know what? Okay, cool. I gotta talk to my husband, and then I'll call it, and then call me back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. So I call her back today, 10 a.m. And she's like, you know, I gotta tell you, I move fast, and I'm ready to go on this thing. But my husband, you know, he's a little slower on stuff, so it's not a no, but I just gotta wait. So keep in touch with me. But I have your number saved, and everybody else that's been calling me, I deleted them. You know, so.
Boom. There you go. So create a new relationship. Basically got her to delete everybody else's but him. He stayed up on her. I think it was like 8 o'clock at night last night, something like that. Yeah, it was a little on the late side. And she was responsive. We reached out. ISA's brought her back in. And so we're going to get into this in a little bit. But it just created more opportunity for him to do what he's doing in his structure. Okay? And then now all of a sudden, there's a lot of turmoil in the market. Whatever you guys are feeling right now, there's like 2 opposite sides I see. Oh my God, I just got all this benefit, blah, blah. Yeah, look at us. Like we're the man or the woman. But it's like, dude, the market is, you're lying. You're lying. I'm just going to be honest with you and tell you that you're lying. If you still do units, you better hold on to that cash because you don't know how many more you're going to do without a really cool structure. And if you had a really cool structure, would you be getting all like, you know, like bossy and all like, you know, look at me and all the stuff I'm doing? Like, would you do that if you had a really good structure? Probably not, right? Because you'd be like, wow, I'm blessed to have this structure, and this structure is what's created this benefit. And now all of a sudden, I didn't achieve this on my own. I achieved this as a team. This is not a one-man show or one-woman show. This is a communicative effort, right, between all of us. So now it works on efficiency, right? So now all of a sudden, you what gets measured gets tracked, right? It creates accountability, right? Because now all of a sudden, last night, it was so late, I'm like not a late person anymore. I ended up emailing the CMA that I was doing for Cindy to Christy. So Christy's like, hey, I got a CMA, like, what is it this morning? It was like 8 a.m. And I'm like, oh, my bad. So I turned around and I meant to send it to a Kevin, right? Which maybe I just hit K, who knows what happened. But I put it right back to that person, and then I busted out the one with Bijan that he's just talking about, because I wanted to make sure they had something tactile, because we knew Willis, her husband, might need a little bit more, help. And so we wanted to make sure she had it digitally, which she thanked Bijan for. So you have measurable progress, risk management. Like, what if you do something that doesn't work? You know, there was like literally, my wife showed me 3 realtors on a street corner with a sign that they're a realtor going like this on a street corner. And so my wife was like, wow, like they're hustling. And for me, I go, dude, that sucks. Either they're doing it as a joke, or like that's the fucking meme of our real estate market right now, right? I'm like, it's desperate times. Like the realtors were driving up in their G-Wagons a year and a half ago, right? So to me, I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but who's leading those people, right? Like someone's got to really double down and make sure the infrastructure and the things that we're talking about right here are front and center for everybody's focus. Right? Because if you leave yourself emotionally able to be swayed in this market, it's not going to be a good outcome, right? So resource allocation, you want to make sure that you're aligning. Like you might not like, there's a lot of people that didn't like our vision probably, that left. Good, bye, no problem. I'd rather invest in the people that I have. So I don't care about scaling. I don't care about, being number one right now. I care about feeding and taking care of the people that are on our team. And I care about managing ourselves and our consistency and our ability to adapt continually in the future, learn, adapt, improve, and all of that is going to reduce our stress. But it's going to make us empathetic to our clients. If you go in and you lose your empathy and you're like another client, and you're not really in their situation, like every loan right now should be a hard loan, kind of, Like if they are prepared for it, I'm constantly with my buyers and the people that I touch on our team. I'm like, congratulations. I couldn't buy in this market. Like, good for you that you can even put yourself in a position to purchase in this market. We promise that when rates get better, you're gonna partake in that first, because no one needs to pay these interest rates, and the interest rates that they're probably gonna have to pay in the future, foreseeably, because it doesn't look like they're gonna come down. So we're gonna play around with this. Is everybody somewhat familiar? Maybe throw in the chat. Are you guys familiar with ChatGPT? Are you guys familiar? It tends to blow people's minds. But is anybody familiar with Bard or ChatGPT? I just don't want to waste a lot of time on it because it's awesome. It'll blow everybody's mind. But are you guys familiar with it? Throw in the chat. Yes, yes. Okay, awesome. Perfect. Yes, yes. Perfect. Yes. Okay, I love it. So ChatGPT is like the easiest one. It's been around. It's got like 3.0, 3.5, 4.0 now. And so I fact check everything against ChatGPT. So what I do is, and I'll just click it real quick, is I'll go in. It should log me right in, I guess. So I'll go in. Oh, I didn't. I'm just going to show you guys real quick. So this is like, you're just going to like Google ChatGPT, and then once it comes up, okay, cool, I'm logged in. So, what is the best script for buyers to buy in a real estate market with high rates and low inventory? So it's like a script, right? Hi, my name is. It's going to keep generating. Give it a minute. Hi, my name is JT. Hello, Stacy. My name is JT. I hope you're doing well. You're came up property on 123 Main Street, and I'm impressed with what I saw online. I've been looking for a home in this neighborhood for a while. Blocked. Seems like you'd be a great fit. Let's see. Here we go. So you got an intro, express your seriousness and readiness, about the seller's time frame, flexibility, pre-approval letter, strong offer, personal letter, follow-up. So anybody trying to write, this kind of took the avatar of anybody trying to, if you are representing a buyer against the seller, like this is a good way to do it, right? Continual follow-up, personal letters, making sure you're bringing the lenders in. Let's say I want to regenerate it and say, in bullet point format, what are, so see how you can play with this? It like doesn't cost you anything, right? What are the best, let's go top reasons for buyers to buy? So here's like a quick, easy one, right? Is like, what are the top reasons for a buyer to purchase real estate in a market with high rates and low inventory in bullet point format? Okay, see how you don't need training? You don't need scripts. Like, I don't know what your specific ask is, but like, I don't have like a billion data points in my head. I have like a lot, but like that's like a billion too much for me, right? So you can go right in and go, look, investment potential, expectation, property appreciation, attractive returns due to the high demand. I mean, what if you're lucky right now, only 19% of home buyers think it's a good time to buy? That means 81% think it's not. So if I'm on the phone, what would I expect? A buyer that thinks it's a good time to buy or a bad time to buy? Bad. And if I'm not in real estate, I agree with you. But you know what I'm seeing most of the sophisticated clients that I work with do? The ones that are the most successful, they know that they're only dealing with 20% competition. So they're like, hey, I can get the best house that I can afford. Maybe the average can't afford that house, which that is going to drop even more in affordability. And they know that, right? So what are you guys seeing with a lot of your cash offers? Little fakey fakesters with not the actual money in their checking account, right? that they're not actually putting the property in. But guess what they can do with it? Lock up the property, right? You don't have to tell them that part, that they're not all sending their cash in because it's scarce right now. But what you can do is you can say, hey, the most sophisticated people that actually are true with the money know that they have options, right? And so right now, with those low interest rates, like it's going to go in the reverse order that we just talked about. So is everybody like, okay, throw in the chat, like, is that like, at least you guys can see what ChatGPT is all about? So what I've seen is awesome. What I've seen is now Bard, the difference is connected to Google. Okay. So why is that important? Quite honestly, your scripts connected to Google mean that whatever you think the information is, Google's going to tell you what it actually is. Right? So if I say, hey, what's the top reason buyers aren't going to buy? Right? Interest rate, whatever, affordability, right? So you already know that. Like, hey, we know, everybody knows. But then what do the 19% know that we don't? I mean, that's what I want to know. I want to know what the 19% know that think it's still a good time to buy, right? And what I've learned is they go, wow, like there's a huge upside if they deploy their cash. And by the way, inflation, all the things that are plaguing us right now, what's the best hedge against that right now? An appreciating real estate market. A real estate market where inventory is going to continue to be low. Because the worst thing you could do, let's say you're like, oh my God, next year you're like, oh, I can't afford it. Cha-ching. Let me take out my other 7,500 grand. Right? Because if you know where would that inventory come from? Even auction homes are getting bid up like insane. Right? And not only that, but does anybody familiar with auction homes? What's happening right now with auction homes? They all have equity. So all those auction homes, no one's losing except the person that isn't making their payment. So think about this. Wouldn't that person benefit from a real estate agent selling their home traditionally in any way that they could, putting more money in their pocket? So how is that a bad thing to a real estate agent or agent team or agency in general? Oh my God, there's a wave of foreclosures. Please, please. Thank you. Can't wait. Yep. Because those people are going to owe $400,000 on their $800,000 house, or they're going to go $800,000 on their $1.2 million house. And I'm going to say, look, not here to gouge you. Here's my rate. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to invest. It's a low inventory market. I'm going to market. We're going to make sure that we procure a buyer, and we're going to make sure we put as much money in your pocket as possible. Sound good? And they're going to go, oh, please. They're going to need you so those big banks don't take their houses, and those investors don't make another couple $1 million, right? And so right now there's just a redistribution of wealth. We talked about it a while ago. It's just playing out. So now it's a value game, right? I don't need to sell anything. If you have a 3% interest rate and you don't really pay anything, and sure you want to move because your kids moved out and maybe you'd be in a different area, but you just can't. No big deal, right? No big deal. I got an answer for that. So do you, right? So how do I get back to the other? And by the way, tech isn't always, there we go. It gets optimized. So you have ways to help people like that. So crafting your perfect script, I included in this call scripts. I wanted to give you a little bit of intervals, consistency, and your daily structure, okay? When it comes to you hitting your goals, like you should be the main person setting up your intervals. I think that it's like try, and try again, right? Like you're trying to make contact. If you're leading with a value proposition, you're really trying to determine if and when their pain point is going to teeter over them getting rid of their interest rate or cashing out, right? I know a lot of people that are selling right now. Do they necessarily want to sell? No, they don't. They're selling because either A, they feel that they're getting the top dollar price that they want to do whatever it is that they want to go do next, right? They're just happy with the price. Or B, they're in a situation where it's time to cash out because of their circumstance, right? So knowing that, you're already kind of ahead of the game. Everybody else is going to be in a situation where you're really planting seeds that's going to lead to a huge pipeline if and when those rates do go low. Because people won't, I mean, I think the latest average is people are staying in their house on the high average of 16 years, right? And so, I mean, at some point when you're dealing with homeowners that bought it for 10, 12 years ago, right? That's coming up, right? Sooner than later, right? So giving the consistency of it is going to, I heard something today I wanted to hit you guys on, is steady effort. And I heard something called vanity metrics, okay? And it was on social media. And a vanity metric, I was like, oh, that's a cool coin term, right? So now if I do a bad job, like, you're just like, oh, I know I need to do better. But then now all of a sudden, if I do a good job, you're going to make it a negative, right? Awesome media, like way to go, right? And so the point wasn't a vanity metric is don't call, just call. Don't log a number or don't log a note just to log the note. If it's not valuable, there's a really cool saying. It was actually from a monk of a podcast I was watching. And the guy goes, if it's not valuable, why are you saying it? If it's not useful, why would you say it? And you guys know what the last one is? It's like valuable. Am I going to learn something from it? Useful. Is it going to be something that anybody takes?
Motivate others.
Right?
I saw one just this morning.
Yep. So, yeah, it's similar. Yep. So the third one was if it's not positive, why would you say it? If it's not going to lift somebody else up. So it's going to be negative, right? So in this mindset, in this time frame, everybody's like mindset. I love that. I love mindset. But affirmations with no value or no information or why or teeth behind it isn't going to get you up in the morning and keep you successful in this position, right? It's not going to be able to have it where you can dive into your client's issues while you have your own issues. Well, we all have our own issues, right? That's the key metric. So now in saying the vanity side, it's but don't do it to do it with a purpose, right? So on this team, I'm not going to mandate you call 100 people. I have ISAs for that. I'm not putting your success in my hands. I'm going to make sure I have ISAs for you because I want you guys to have the 12 or the dozen or 2 dozen quality conversations that an ISA couldn't have, right? Because the ISA doesn't know the local market, right? They can dial 165 times, 200 times, but are they really going to have those quality conversations? If you're looking out for the quality conversation, what is that going to end up doing for your pipeline? Growing it, right? Leading to more, right? It's the thing that's going to move the needle. So I put in those scripts for you guys to go over because I want to make sure there's a lot of people that how do I go to the next one? Came in. There we go. So I wanted to give you guys, and this is all in there as well. There's 16 scripts. This one's actually from Market Leader. I also put one for Ylopo in there. So it's overcoming common objections. It's giving you guys, giving everybody objection handling tips, advice from other agents. And then in that Ylopo one, it's the same thing. You'll actually have, if they say this, you do this. If they say that, you do this, right? But if you guys really use ChatGPT for what it could do, you won't need a lot of that. You just won't. You'll keep it simple and you'll go, hey, I'll give you an example. I'm looking at, Mary Smith in my database. And people go, oh, she's not a new lead, right? Oh, it couldn't be bad. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. No. I like the old lead that I just engaged with because I have dozens of information points on that person. I've had multiple reach outs. Chances are I know things about them, family situation, dynamics, area, price point. I'm going to dig into that. And then now I can actually script based on Mary's information, not just a generalized info. Because you got to imagine Mary's going to take 2 or 3 other calls like you today. And does she want to hear the same thing that she just heard from the AT&T rep? No. Do you want to hear it from the same Spectrum rep? Because they're all running scripts, right? You want to hear it from, DirecTV? No. That's why we don't answer our phones when it says spam risk, right? Is that you're trying to create more of an experience. And so if you lead that conversation, you say, wow, I know they're looking. Or I know they have a home. I know they have value, right? You can tag your Real Scout IDX. You can go in and update it, right? Oh, I see Real Scouts running. You know, they didn't open it. Is it their updated? I've seen tons of price points that aren't updated. I saw a couple yesterday. They were 300,000, 400,000. I think it was like, one was just under 500. They're all above $1 million now. They're like 1.1 to 1.2. And I was like, wait a minute, I had to double check. I was like, is this for real? And they were. That's crazy. In terms of the affordability sucks, but your paychecks don't. You're a percentage-based salesperson, right? So am I. Like, that's awesome, you know? So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I like live in Dubai or something with the prices that we have to pay in Southern California. But it's like, okay, well, if we're smarter and we work the way the angles that we know that we're capable of, it's like, then you do benefit from that in a really good way, you know? So you just have to be strategic. So now you can go and set the IDX drips. You can go and create a little bit more high touch point. And then also on the seller side, we are running HomeBot. We're actually looking at a bunch of other things. And you guys have access to the MLS. You can literally send the raw comps to that area. You know, there's a lot of things that you could do. I did want to touch on, I wouldn't personally brand a lot of the touch points that you send them back outside of properties. And let me tell you why. The conversion that you'll send when you just send the metrics of the data on the sales side is like 9 to 11 times greater. Okay? And the reason for that is because they're gonna view it as you're trying to sell them something, and you can't sell someone something that has a 3% interest rate. You can't. Like, I'm not that good. We're not that good. They're not gonna sell their house. So the only thing that you could do, don't trash my lead. Don't reject my lead. Nurture that lead. Don't get them in the position where you think you're trying to sell them something. Just value. That's all you can do right now. This is a feast or famine business. Unfortunately, we're going through a little bit more of the famine time, right? We're planting seeds in our crop, and those crops will bloom, blossom, and lead to a plentiful harvest at some point. And those are the people that if you've done a really good job and you've planted them and you've taken your time and you're being like, hey, I'm giving you the heat maps, the market reports, the information, you know, the market trends, you know, seeing an inventory go down, they go, you know, I'm on the fence. You know, we think it's a good time, but we know an inventory is going to go down, but we know buyer affordability is going to go down right along with it. So, I mean, like, are they just trying to destroy the real estate market? You know, it's like at some point at the right time is going to be the right time. So going right into the buckets is you really have those 4 buckets. And I think all of us are most concerned with that 90-day, 0 to 90-day bucket, right? Is that you want to make sure you take somewhat an aggressive standpoint in terms of what your unique value proposition is against whoever it is that you're talking to, okay? If you go in and, you know, you're not a believer and you're in the information where you're like, well, you know, I wouldn't really sell. There's a couple people that I told my sellers, I'm like, I don't think I would sell right now if I were you. And I couldn't even believe I was saying it. But the guy had nowhere to go. He couldn't afford anything else. He was in between jobs. And I said, you know what? I go, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? I don't think I would sell. I think I would hang tight. I think I would rent a room if I were you on a month to month. And I think that he had a really nice little condo in Ontario, paid next to nothing for it if you're comparing him to what he would do to enter the market today. I said, you know, we should regroup after you find a solid job and see if that job is going to take you where your house is currently. And if it doesn't, then we can explore the move. Because I think if we did it right and we took him inland, he would get a much bigger bang for his buck because he wants a bigger house, wants a little RV parking, wants a little bit more spread out. I said, if we check those boxes off, you pay a little bit more, would it be worth it if you're closer to your new job? He goes, oh, absolutely. I'd be so much happier. I go, and then that's a reason we would sell, right? But right now, I don't know. It's not going to set you up for success. You're going to burn through that money and then you're screwed, you know? So, no, but I checked up with him this morning. I was like, hey, how's the new job going? How's everything going? He's like, good. He's like, I got some stuff to talk to you about. I'll hit you up later this evening. Great, sounds good. We'll touch base, right? So to me, he just moved categories, right? Now, do I want him in that category? Absolutely, I want him in that category. But right now, I'd rather do right and do solid by dozens of people, by hundreds of people in the database, and then create such a massive like harvest later that I won't know what to do. Because now I don't know what to do because like no one knows what to do, right? But you're going to not know what to do when there's so many things to do. You won't know how your head will spin like it was for the previous 3 years, right? So you want to make sure that you're setting those up in those buckets as directly when it comes to follow-up boss and how we're doing it, okay? I don't really use color codes. I don't really use ABCs. Again, I want to keep it simple, right? So I have a very simple nurture process for people that I have out there. I use my tasks. I @ other people that I know that consistently will follow up in whatever that lead is as a team. And I'm creating more accountability. Because what I've seen right now in the database is people that know what to do are doing it. Like I don't have to teach them really anything. They're just, you got to give them the opportunity. People that aren't really focused are like slowly but surely just not figuring it out. It's just not, that rubber isn't hitting the road. It's like there's no momentum that's created. And the problem with that is that there's no conviction when you're on the other side with that client, because you need to be a professional now. Your client requires you to put in the effort, put in the information. I remember, the whole Zillow process taught me how important it is as a leader to know what's going on in the market. Statistically, dynamically, as a whole, locally, it's really, really important. Like it will tell you what's going to happen, right? But I didn't really do that when I was early in the business. I was like lead, close, right? Let's go, Now is a little bit more balanced approach. And as you go forward, you now won't sound salesy if you're giving that value in an information, but you're doing it for a purpose still. So now you have your long-term nurtures, you have your here and now buyer, seller, buyer. That's as easy as I keep it, right? If there's someone that yells at you, we got on camera yesterday, we were filming, and I call a referral lead that came up, and the guy's like, F off, like, you woke me up. It's like 11:15, right? It's like a little bit before, right? I'm like, okay, sorry about that, But in the end of the day, I'm like, no, I don't want to, I'm not putting them in a pond. I'm not rotating them. I'm just going to trash them out. I went back to the referral source. I said, look, this guy didn't sign up for anything. He was really upset. No one should reach out to him anymore, right? And so I don't want to spend my days doing that because there's so many other productive things to do. That you use trash for people that you really don't want anything because they will get retargeted. Or you can always put rejected if you think that they're like, let's say a seller that said, no, I'm fine, leave me alone, okay? That's cool, but if I know you own a home, okay, and I know you have equity, and I know there's a possibility that you own more than one, right? How would me giving you value be a bad thing? I don't need to sell you. But if you had a cousin, an aunt, an uncle, someone that maybe doesn't own 4 or 5 homes, someone that needs that help out of the gate to find that perfect home to start off, right? I might get another opportunity if I continue giving them value and I don't push them too hard and I just make sure that I'm an expert in the field, right? So even though I don't want to prioritize them and I definitely don't want to retarget them, I still put them in the system. That's what I'll use rejected for a little bit, or I'll keep them as a sphere. And just my sphere, I look at it like the world. I just look at them as a sphere that I'm not really, they're just there existing and I know where they're at, right? And I want to provide value. Because as an example, if you had 1 million people in Southern California, you knew exactly where they lived, you knew their equity structure, their emails, and their phone numbers, would you want to put them on a valuable email list and maybe reach out and provide some updates consistently? Because chances are you'd be a rich person if you did that well, right? And that's the whole goal, is that you want to continually nurture your database because that's your retirement in real estate. That's how you build value. So the news your clients will actually use, okay? So many people throughout the scripting process, I try to break everything down to the least common denominator, right? I tend to make things complicated, which is why I have to strive for simplicity. I need to. but I also need to go for what's called the LCD, the least common denominator, right? Because when you do 10 things at once, like I try to do, right? You really need to make sure that you're like, well, what are we actually talking about? Is this a time thing? Is this a money objection? Is this an area? Is this a divorce situation? Is this a probate and you have no idea what you need to do, right? What are we actually talking about here? What do you need, right? So when it comes to the scripts, a lot of it was, not that you guys don't know what to say, it's just a little bit of a roadblock in the breaking down of how to say it, where your client's like, winter, exactly. I mean, I didn't want to know how to say it. Like when you go to the dentist, right? I have like a tooth that's bugging me, right? I know where it is, but I don't know what's going on. I just know it's bugging me, right? And so the same situation when it comes to people's finances, right? The more complicated you get, the more checked out people get, you know? And so what's funny, we were having a conversation, it was with the media team, and they go like, we're talking about drones and we're talking about investments into, what do you call it? Equipment. And the prices are like crazy, right? And they're like, oh my God, those are crazy prices. But then they're like, oh, but if it was like a Chanel handbag, I'd be like, whew. I'd be like, yes, please, you know? And so it's like everybody has their point where you're willing to pay for value. You're willing to pay for what you think you want to associate with in life, right? And so that could be something that gets back to your identity. But when you get back to people that own or want to buy real estate, which is like hasn't lost in like 14 years, it has done nothing but appreciate. So I think that's another conversation that you get into, is that how much is it going to go another 14 years? Because that's never happened in the history of since that was tracked, right? Who knows? I don't know if it's going to come down with no inventory. I don't know where it's going to come from, right? But now you can talk about, like what we're shooting with the media team. We're going to look for the new homes because new homes are all up right now. They're all selling like hotcakes, right? Because people are tired of doing this resale thing and paying top dollar for a fixer, right? Or paying top dollar is something that, how many people they pay top dollar and the seller doesn't do all their repairs? Negotiates them all down and is like, nope, I could sell it to the next person. Well, that's a cool, crappy experience, right? And so knowing that, like, get in front of it, right? So you can go into those insights and you can go into those areas and trends. You can go into, hey, you know, the choice, I call it a choice optimizer, okay? Because what we're doing right now is optimizing service. The better and faster and more knowledgeable you are, you're optimizing better choices to your clients. Nothing more, nothing less. That's why people are so scared of AI. Is because if AI could get better than that, better than you, then we're all out of a job. But right now, how would you actually become empathetic to a family, set them up for long-term success, and then find out all of the inner workings of that person by going and actually meeting with them and having the tactile process of what you do in real estate? I mean, we're years away from that. It's possible, but we're years away from, if you choose to embrace and use those as tools, you'll get better and better and better than you were, because I wasn't able to have any of the information at the fingertips that I had as a kid that my kids have as kids, right? It's like, that's crazy in terms of what's going to happen in the next generation. So, but they won't have a lot of that experience. So when you say option A or B, I think it gets a little bit less salesy, and you're saying, okay, well, would you rather buy now when the rate is high temporarily, and you know the price point's probably going to be pretty aggressive compared to later down the road, right? Or would you rather roll the dice, pay a lower interest rate, but guaranteed a higher purchase price? And they're going to go, oh, in the end of the day, you still have to write a check for that higher purchase price, right? That rate is temporary, right? And not only that, but if you even have a plan, that the most sophisticated clients that I see, that are people that are still buying in that 19%, know they can lock it up, know they can get in the ownership game, know they can equity build, start their write-offs, because things are crazy right now. Last thing you should be doing is paying Uncle Sam your hard-earned money for not being able to be a homeowner and then refi at a later date. Free cost, no, whatever. People will be clamoring to refi your 7% interest rate into something in the 5s or cheaper. And if it goes in the 4s or 3s, it's like people just refied because that's what you just did, right? And so the reality that will at some point happen again is probably going to be pretty high. So again, to do that here, you're always leading with value. You're going to get better at this. When you know what your why is, like put yourself in their position. Would you buy? Would you sell? Would you act? Would you take action? Right? If you could put yourself in their shoes, right? I've had clients, they've had a lot of money just sitting on the sidelines, and they deployed that money and they bought in today's market. And I'm like, man, that's awesome. To take that risk, calculated, and go get it into the homeownership game, but they've already built $50K in equity. And that was I think 2-3 months ago that I just checked, right? And so now that they took that action, they're already remodeling the house and creating even more equity, right? So when you get to that point, you'll know hey, this is the right time. And then if anything else, the call like Bijan, it might be the right time. Like if they act in the next 30 days or so, it might be the right time. What's going to happen when we hit Thanksgiving? I don't even know, right? I just know there's going to be a less overall activity across the board, which to me is why it should be all hands on deck. That if you guys need anything, come see me, DM me, we'll carve out some time, we'll sit down. This is real stuff, right? Your guys' livelihood depends on us navigating this market for our clients correctly and having a really good thing. So your mindset matters, being able to take action and keep momentum, being able to see whatever obstacles you have and say, hey, look, I have a family, right? They're back in school. I don't have the same challenges that I did with business when I was single. And I didn't have a big family that I had to take care of and had a bunch of obligations that I had to meet for them, right? So I can't play at the level of risk that I played, 10, 15 years ago, right? It's a little bit more minimized for me. So what do? How am I going to solve it? Work 2 or 3 times harder. And I'm going to be 2 or 3 times a little bit more efficient about how I deploy my capital, right? And how I invest. So your momentum is going to be your direct result of your effort to achieve whatever goals that you set forth, okay? You don't need to go crush and create records right now. Please, if you want to do it by all means. The team and I will draft up a trophy for you, right? But right now, the way that we show our reward, I personally just capped, right? The next closing right now, I capped. So we're back to the same, a lot of people are back to the same structure we had before, right? Now with that same structure, it's I want more of it, right? It's now I'm laser focused back in to create more value. And at the same time, you got to make sure over the next 6 to 12 months, you maintain your level of balance that you're ready for. I had a good hoorah last month or two of summer for the kids. I got them all out of my system now. And now, for me, it's time for real work time. But I want to make momentum and movements forward. So know right now, the database that we have, we're blessed with, right? The amount of marketing that we're now spending, we are blessed with. When you get that information, it's got to take top priority if you want to close more deals. The next one you can keep out. You can do events. You can continue to do traditional stuff. But I'll tell you, the traditional stuff, is going to be hard for a lot of people. It's going to be hard. It's not going to create the results that people are thinking right now if all of those metrics are correct and those graphs start going like this. So you really want to make sure that you're doing things proven that's going to move the needle for you, right? You're going to make sure that you're investing in the right places, and then you can do some of those other things, and when they pan out, great. I'll give you an example, high-end all-cash offer that we have in the system that, the guy's famous or whatever it is. Look, I'm going to work it really hard, but I'm not banking on it, right? I'm not going to make sure I go make moves making that I'm going to get that commission back in my hand. I'm going to go make sure I get the guys at 750 to 2 million, and I'm going to do a lot of those guys, right? And I'm going to keep these guys going. I'm going to keep them working, right? I want them. But right now, is it really reasonable that someone's going to spend multi millions and like it's going to be easy? Probably not. It could happen. Let's do it. But create those buckets for yourselves where you're creating consistent paychecks, because what you don't want to do is take your eye off the ball and say, oh man, this is going to close, and then all of a sudden that escrow slips away. We had it happen a couple times, unfortunately, but no worries, we're right back to other people. And we're not taking it personally. We're like, hey, it didn't work out. Once it works out, let us know. And now you continue that relationship instead of losing it to someone else. Cool? You guys have any questions? Anything in the comments? You guys have been awesome. Any feedback? How was it?
No.
Good? Oh, okay. You were like leaning forward like you had something good for me. I was like, let's go. Victor's bringing the heat. All right. So Benessi is here. Victor's here. A couple new faces that you guys are going to see. We're bringing on new agents. Oh yeah, go ahead. Someone going to talk? No? Maybe not. All of a sudden, y'all get shy. You had something?
Yeah. Do you have a valuation tool that you guys use to send out to your past clients for, or potential sellers?
Multiple.
Automatically send?
Yeah, multiple, and no, they don't automatically send. Yeah, no, you have to set them up on it unless they apply for it. You can tag me on it because they're insanely expensive. We change them out all the time, and we don't want to spam them. So depending on how they come in our systems, that's how we deploy the valuation tool. So the biggest one we have is HomeBot. Also, too, Real Scout's getting integrated into Follow Up Boss, two-way integration. So anything that goes in your Real Scout is going to happen in your Follow Up Boss. Yes, that's been years on coming. So now all of a sudden, if someone looks in your Real Scout, you're going to get it in their Follow Up Boss feed, and it's going to show up as on your lead portal. So which is going to be cool. But yeah, definitely. And we're going to redo Tuesdays for you guys. But I have like, let's say the best way to do it is I have, and Junior can tell you this, I have 10 pounds of shit in a 2-pound bag. Okay? There's so much that I didn't do over the last few years that like this is my 3rd or 4th market correction. I've 20 years in the business plus, started this business when I was 19 years old. I'm 42. Okay? I know what it is that I did wrong, and I know what it is that I need to do for us to correct it, and I do not want to spend any more time than I need to in order to correct it. We are done with the past. All that stuff that we did is over. Everything that we did is like nothing but smooth sailing in the beginning. But if I know I can be rich again, both in life, in health, in balance, in money, in closings, 5 times faster or 2 times faster, I'm choosing 10 times faster, right? So right now, like it's so valuable right now. Please like heed the warning that I had from being number 1, that it doesn't matter who you are. If you don't do the things that you know you need to do, this market will not be favorable for you, right? And take it from me, like I think that I learned those lessons faster than I potentially could have, but they were not fast enough. I could have put myself in such a better situation for this team. And so there's so much why behind systematically going through those 10 pounds and going, what's the most important 2 pounds, and doing it a little bit at a time. 1% a day. But know that whoever shows up here and whoever's on my radar is getting more opportunity. That's just the way it goes. You guys text me, right? Rider team, text me they've been official, what? You've been official for 72 hours, 24 hours, guys? Yeah. 2 thumbs up. Tell me.
Less than a day.
Yes. So Rider team's been official on our team for less than 24 hours. They blow me up all the time. What about this? What about that? What about this? I'm like, feed, set, done. We go over it. We still have more to do. It's 24 hours, right? But they brought on over a dozen people on their team, and they're all go-getters, right? So we're talking about infrastructure. They're like, hey, what do you do? And I'm like, hey, what do you do? Let's do it together, right? So that's what I want for each and every single person here, is to have that mindset. Whatever you need to do, I want to multiply it and give it to you, right? That's the whole thing of what brokers and team leads should be doing right now, and offices like this should be investing continually in your guys' success. So with that, I don't want to go recruit a whole bunch of people. I want to take the people that are hungry, give them a home, show them the love that they deserve, and get them in the systems so that as we grow naturally and as we bring more value to the market, we get our identities back for all of our clients and everything will be fine. Cool? You guys pumped? All right. Let's go get them. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.